So today we're going to be doing something that we did a while ago, and that is we are going on Reddit to r/LucidDreaming to answer some lucid dreaming questions. I'm going to do this a little bit differently this time, and I'm just going to answer the questions in the video. Anyway, the first thing I need to do is opt out of this bloody redesign because it is terrible and I don't know what Reddit are doing with that. Alright, so we are in r/LucidDreaming now, and I'm going to go through and I'm just going to pick out some random questions and do my best to answer them. So, how to have a lucid dream tonight? Well, this is good because I actually have a video about this, so I can just, okay, it's finally clicking. I'm really interested in getting into lucid dreaming. I've astral projected before, which is wild, but I want to be able to control my own dreams and really get to know my subconscious. Been doing reality checks and have kept a dream journal. Thinking of going to bed tonight at around 12, waking up at 5 to attempt the wake back to bed method. I'm confused on whether I should get out of bed to wake my conscious mind up, or should I keep my eyes closed and attempt to go directly into a lucid dream. So if you're doing wake back to bed, you are getting out of bed for a while, you're going back to bed and you're going back to sleep. Now, normally when you do this, you also tend to visualize the dream that you want to have before you go back to sleep, but you're not attempting to go directly into a lucid dream. That is wild. In wake back to bed, in mild and in similar techniques, you're basically going back to sleep at the end of it. So no, you don't actually have to attempt to go directly into a lucid dream. Get out of bed for a bit, get back into bed, try and think about what you want to do in that dream, visualize it if possible, and then go back to sleep. As for things that could help you increase your chances of getting lucid, you can meditate before bed, you can go to bed at a slightly different time, slightly earlier or later, because sometimes messing around with your sleep a little bit can help. And if you have one available, put on a sleep mask, or try to black out the light in your room as much as possible, because that increased melatonin will help with your ability to lucid dream. What's the most important thing to keep track of in dream journals? Okay, so the most important thing about dream journaling is not keeping track of anything. The most important thing is actually using it as an exercise to improve your memory. Basically, you're not normally used to retaining much memory from your dreams. You have your dreams, but then you wake up and you kind of forget all about that. You forget about most of what goes on in them. You have to get used to remembering and retaining that information. And the way that you do this is by every morning making a habit of going back into your memory and trying to probe that area of your memory. Even if you don't remember any dreams, you should be trying to remember what you were thinking about before you went to bed, what you were thinking about when you woke up. So you kind of probe that same area of memory and improve it over time. So the most important thing is not even to track anything, it's just to do that exercise every morning. That said, tracking things can be useful for other reasons. The most important thing though is just to get the dream down if you are actually trying to track something. So my suggestion is to try and summarize the dream in 1 or 2 sentences at first. If you did nothing else in a dream journal, that would be the best thing to put down. Because even in 1 or 2 sentences, you've got as much information down as possible. You can look back at it and probably remember the whole dream, unless it's been, like a year from then or something. And then you can add details to it, any details that you remember. Dream signs that you noticed, particular colours, themes, feelings and so on, you can add in. But the main thing is just to do that exercise every morning and to get the gist of the dream down. What's the funniest thing that ever happened in one of your lucid dreams? Well, lots of funny things have happened, but a story that I like to keep telling on here is about the time that I tried to get help with lucid dreaming when I was in a lucid dream. And the way I did that was I tried to go to the website Dream Views inside the dream. Yes, that's right, I booted up my computer, I loaded up the internet, and I start going to the Dream Views website and I start trying to browse it so I can figure out how to control the dream that I'm actually in. To me, that was just a bit ridiculous, and when I woke up I realised how ridiculous it was, but while I was in the dream I thought it was a great idea. Come on Reddit, why do you keep doing this, switching me to the redesign? I think if you just refresh it goes back. Yeah, hallucinating before a lucid dream, this sounds interesting. Last night when I was lying on my bed, too tired to get up and turn off the lights, I heard voices in my head. I was hearing the voices of people I hate saying some things repeatedly. I don't remember what they were saying because I was already half asleep, but I remember being very upset and scared. Okay, I'm not even going to finish reading this because I can already tell you this is hypnagogia, and this is the state that you want to be in if you're doing something like wild. So this is actually great. You can, when you see that, when you're having, sounds that you're hearing in your head, or you're seeing strange shapes and stuff behind your closed eyes, or you're starting to see like vague dream scenes appear but you're still awake in bed, that is the perfect time to do something like wild, because that for me, always means that I'm in REM and can perform wild. So if you get that, try wild next time. Galantamine and zolpidem combo. As everyone knows, alpha GPC plus galantamine plus wake back to bed essentially guarantees a lucid dream. I don't know about guaranteeing it, but it will give you a high chance. The downside is that galantamine has a side effect of making it very hard to get back to sleep. Has anyone tried mixing in a little bit of Ambien in order to knock you right away? Ambien and other GABAergics suppress REM, so you would essentially be blocking what galantamine does for you. So no, terrible idea, don't do that. Why don't we have one big REM sleep? Why do we enter REM sleep 5 times in one night and not stay in REM for the whole night? I think the reason that the body does it in cycles like that is because in the wild, you know, we didn't have alarm clocks and we didn't have these fixed routines and stuff when we as a species originated. You know, some nights we probably got 3 hours of sleep, some nights we probably got 12 hours of sleep. And if you only got it in big blocks, like you got all of your deep sleep and then all of your REM sleep and so on, then that would mean some nights you're just not getting certain parts of your sleep. So by having it in shorter blocks and repeating it in cycles, you can ensure that you get a little bit of everything throughout the night. So that's the reason that I think our sleep happens in cycles like that. Could be completely wrong, that's just my theory on that. How do you deal with sleep paralysis? Okay, honestly, the best way to deal with sleep paralysis is to experience it. I see a lot of people focusing on how they can avoid it. But the thing is, it's kind of inevitable that at some point during your life, you're probably going to experience sleep paralysis. And it's really not that bad if you're actually prepared for it. What makes sleep paralysis so scary is that most people experience it for the first time without having any clue what it is. So they think they've been paralyzed for real. They think this person standing over them or whatever they see is real or whatever they hear is real. And that can be very terrifying. Because if you think that you've been frozen in bed and there's an alien there abducting you or something, you know, naturally anyone is going to be pretty scared. But if you know that it's just sleep paralysis, it's really not so scary, even when you see those things. Because it's kind of like being in a nightmare, but being aware that you're in a nightmare. At which point you know that you're safe, you know, nothing can harm you and so on. It's still a bit, you know, unnerving, but it isn't terrifying. Now, if you practice it regularly, if you actually enter into sleep paralysis and each time make it a goal to stay there longer and longer without moving, just observing what is going on, you'll get really comfortable with this state. I used to find sleep paralysis very, very scary the first couple of times I experienced it. Then, once I really knew what it was and knew it wasn't anything to be scared of, I found it was quite unnerving, quite unpleasant still. Not so much scary, but still quite unpleasant. Nowadays though, I actually find it to be a pleasant experience a lot of the time. I actually find that I look forward to it because it feels really weird for your body to be unable to move like that and to hear things and see things. It's kind of interesting. So by exposing myself to it over and over again, the fear kind of disappeared. Anyway, I think that's enough questions for this video because I think this has dragged on a little bit longer than I wanted it to. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, make sure that you subscribe, enable notifications so you can stay up to date with my videos. If you want to keep watching, pick one of the videos on screen, and if you want to support the channel, check out my Patreon page.